Empires are built on conquest, but what happens when the rebellion begins within the empire itself? Long before Britain ruled the waves, its own lands burned with uprisings, revolts, and betrayals that nearly tore it apart. These are the forgotten rebellions that shook the throne, challenged the crown, and forced the empire to fight for its own survival. Welcome to Echoes of Empire, where we bring the forgotten stories of Britain's past back to life. Before the Union Jack flew over half the world, Britain was a land divided, of kings turned tyrants, of peasants turned warriors, of loyalty turned to fire. These are not stories of victory, they are stories of resistance, of blood, and of how the empire once struck back against itself. It began not in palaces, but in fields. In 1381, ordinary men and women, crushed under taxes and famine, rose against the crown itself. Led by Wat Tyler, thousands marched into London, their anger fueled by hunger, their courage by desperation. They stormed the Tower of London, confronted the boy King Richard II, and for a moment, the powerless ruled the capital. But power is a ruthless master. When the rebellion's leaders were betrayed and executed, their dreams died with them, or so it seemed. For though the revolt was crushed, its echo changed Britain forever. The idea that common people could rise against the crown had been born, and it would never die again. Decades later, Britain once again devoured itself. Two royal houses, Lancaster and York, tore England apart in a war for the crown. Brothers turned on brothers, nobles changed sides like shadows at dusk, and the rivers of England ran red with royal blood. From the ashes of that chaos rose the Tudors, a dynasty forged from betrayal, ambition, and victory at Bosworth Field. But behind their crown lay a truth Britain could never escape. The greatest threat to the empire's power was never from abroad, it was from within. After the Glorious Revolution, the British Isles trembled once more. In the cold highlands of Scotland, loyalists to the exiled Stuart kings rose in rebellion, fighting not just for a monarch, but for a vanished world. They marched under the banner of the Jacobites, believing they could restore the old line and reverse history itself. From the mist-covered hills of Culloden to the streets of Edinburgh, their courage was unmatched, but their defeat was absolute. The rebellion's end marked not just the fall of a cause, but the death of an age. Yet the Jacobite spirit, fierce, proud, unyielding, still burns in Scotland's heart today. While the British Empire grew abroad, rebellion stirred within its own shadow. In Ireland, centuries of oppression, famine, and broken promises gave birth to revolt. The Irish Rebellion of 1798, inspired by the American and French revolutions, became a cry for freedom against the empire's might. Though brutally suppressed, it lit a fire that would never fade. Every uprising after, from the Easter Rising to Ireland's eventual independence, carried the same flame. The rebellion was not just a fight for land, but for identity, dignity, and history itself. From peasants with pitchforks to nobles with crowns, every rebellion carved scars into the empire's skin. Each uprising, crushed or forgotten, shaped the Britain that would one day command the seas. The irony. The same land that once silenced its rebels would later inspire revolutions across the world. The spirit of defiance born in Britain became the spark for independence in its colonies. For every rebellion Britain crushed, it unknowingly taught others how to rise. The empire that struck back created the world that would one day strike back at it. History remembers the victors, but it's built by the rebels. From London's burning streets to Scotland's frozen moors, from Ireland's green fields to the halls of kings, rebellion was never Britain's weakness, it was its pulse. This was Echoes of Empire. Subscribe for more untold stories from the heart of Britain's history. Because even the greatest empire on earth was once an empire at war with itself.